Hello there, welcome to episode 43 of the Gaming Frontier podcast. This is the number one show in Mexico that's all about video games by game developers. So that's an extra thing for all of you listeners out there. This is a special show because we are back after a few month hiatus. Health issues, trips, GDC, all this stuff just was in between. But we're finally back for to the show. For this episode, I'm gonna be your host. I'm Adolfo Aguirre, and I'm joined by my very good pal, Mr. Guillermo Vizcaíno. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be back.
Good to be back, right?
It's good to be back. And it's been a couple of very hectic months. This last two.
Say.
Yeah. But it was pretty cool. I think we got to experience a lot of very cool new things.
Yeah.
Some of which we are obviously going to share with you guys. But yeah. It's good to be back. I have to say, I missed it. I really did miss doing this and being in front of the camera and everything. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. And yeah, happy to be here.
As you already know, this podcast is part of Gaming Frontier's YouTube channel, where you can find gaming-related content throughout the week. Over here on this channel, you will get the latest news, trends, discussions, and our take as game developers on stuff from the industry. So you don't want to miss this. How many podcasts do you know that are made of game developers in Mexico? Let me tell you, none. So that's why we like to do this thing. So let's just jump right into the beginning of the show. So I wanted to just touch very briefly, because this is a thing that it was a month ago already, so it's kind of old news. But you want to touch briefly on our experience.
Oh, right, yeah. I just remember something important that happened last March. March
like
the 3rd.
The Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, unfortunately, we don't own a Switch yet. We actually were in line.
Yeah, we were.
For the Switch. So, yeah, the fun story, we were at GDC, which was a very cool thing. We were at GDC, and we were walking back on Thursday the 2nd. We were walking to our hotel.
Yeah.
And it was 11:30 p.m.
Around that, yeah.
Yeah, just a few more minutes to midnight, and we just passed by a GameStop on Market Street in San Francisco. Remember that? And we saw the line, and you were like, "Oh, look at those dumb people just making the line." And then you turn around, and
both of you guys were already on your way across the street.
And we were just walking by to the GameStop, and we went into the line, and we're standing there, and you were like, "What the fuck is going on?" And
You
we're like,
really think you're gonna get one? I mean, really?
Yeah, I mean, it was more like a hope thing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Hope. Because I wasn't planning getting the Switch, but when I got into line, I got excited, and I was like, "Man, I want this thing. I want to get the Switch." We didn't get one because they were in very limited quantities. So yeah, no Switch, not yet. And maybe most likely you are unaware of this, but the Nintendo Switch in Mexico is super, super expensive, like ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
So we don't plan on ever getting one here in Mexico. So we're lucky enough to be just a few hours away from the border, a few hours driving from the border. So we are gonna get the Switch when we eventually get it. We're gonna get it in the US and just bring it back with us, right? But for now, we don't have a Switch. So yeah, the thing happened, but we cannot talk about impressions about a Switch.
Yes.
But we can talk very briefly about our impressions and experience at GDC,
Right.
2017. We were there as because as I already mentioned, we're indie game developers to be more precise. And we were there on the GDC Expo showing our games, and we attended some sessions, and we went to some parties, and wow, a lot of stuff was going on there.
Right.
What did you take out from GDC? What was your
overall
experience with this?
I mean, it was mostly exciting, and it was exciting because it was there were a lot of firsts, right? I mean, it was our first GDC. It was our first time really getting to know other people from the developer community. It was our first time attending, because I mean, if you guys don't know, GDC, it's almost like I mean, the official name, it's Game Developers Conference, right? But it's more like a congress and also a
Yeah.
show floor exposition. It's like a lot of
It's
things.
everything.
Yes.
It's everything.
And so you have to, and in our case, we were there with the Pro Mexico booth on the show floor. We were, what was the name of the, like, we were exhibitors, I guess is the right,
the South Hall.
on this. I think it was the
or
South
the
Hall?
North one. No, it was the North one.
Or the West. I don't. I don't know. I don't remember. It was the one, the expo show, right?
North
The
or
expo
South.
floor.
It was either North or South. Whatever. You were there. If you were there, you know what we're talking
Yeah.
about. If not,
You don't.
You should
You
go.
should have been. Yeah.
you should go. Yeah.
So we were there with the Pro Mexico booth. So we needed to be there at our stand, and then we also took some of the conferences and stuff, and the workshops and whatnot that they do, and we then split, and half of us went that way, half of us stayed at the stand, and we rotated. We got to meet some people on the Game Connection event that was happening at the AT&T Park, fairly close by. We also were there, and I mean, it was so many things and so many different, experiences that we were not used to because we. I'm sorry. Are both cameras recording? Quick parenthesis here. We're switching to new equipment, and we're not experienced yet with it. So if you see some technical issues of some sort, just don't fret. We're gonna try and fix them as soon as possible. You probably you're not seeing Adolfo. I'm not entirely sure, but anyway, you should go and check.
How do we know?
I have no idea. If it says recording on the screen, probably it might be working. Yes. Okay. Then never mind. You guys are fine. I hope you guys are looking at us both. In any case, it was a lot of new things for us, and that made it exciting. And of course, we were overwhelmed with the amount of people we saw there, the amount of developers, the amount of actual, people that went there and just saw things, the amount of things that we saw that we were not expecting to see. Like, we get to play with the Switch before it was actually released. We got to play some of the games that we were very excited about at the year's start, like Ukulele and, Horizon and whatnot, although Horizon was already out by then. Point being that it was a lot of firsts, and I think being a developer and going out there and seeing things like that really reinvigorate the enthusiasm that you have, that you might start to lose once you start doing it like almost as a routine, right? Mm-hmm. It's your job now, so it's passion starts dingling, and it's not the same as it is when you start doing any passion project. And being there, seeing all that people and seeing all the enthusiasm and the passion that they have for this industry, it's really reinvigorating. And I think it really helps when you're in this business to see that side, right? To see all that, like the joy of it and the excitement that there is within the gaming industry. And it helped a lot. So yeah, it was a great experience. I would definitely recommend it if you're a developer. Try and do the best that you can, or try and do something to be there for later iterations of the event, because it's great. It's really cool.
Definitely, yeah. That's on point. It was a very big thing for us, and it's also the first the first big international industry event that we attend.
Yeah.
Because we've been to other couple of events and fan fest and that stuff in the country and outside, but this was the first one outside Mexico. That's a big thing. That's a big event that we attend. So it was a nice experience, just meeting many people and looking at old faces as well. We saw a lot of friends that we made over the past few months and years over there at the event. It was a very cool thing. It was fun. Personal highlights. We met the team at Platonic Games, and we took pictures with them as well. Grant Kirkhope, one of my childhood heroes.
Right,
The soundtrack for Banjo-Kazooie, among many other old Rare games. Daniel Dwyer,
Yes.
my favorite video game journalist, was there, and it was a very unexpected and fun thing. Just walking by and looking at him on the outside, like, whoa, shit, that's Daniel Dwyer. that was super, super fun.
Hey, Danny, and I mean, we're still pending on that, all that we talked about over there. So,
Yeah, then you should come.
let's keep in touch. Yes.
You should come visit us and
Absolutely.
absolutely. And if you do come here, man, you're gonna gain some weight. we food will not be an issue here.
Yes, absolutely.
That thing, and we also met a lot of musicians.
Yeah.
We met the composers behind Metal Gear Solid 4, Peace Walker, Bayonetta,
Right.
Final Fantasy 15. That was surreal.
God of
God
War.
of War.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, a lot of
Stir Marino.
a lot of very cool people that we I don't want to mention any more names, because I'm afraid of missing
Some of them.
missing some of them.
Yes.
But yeah, that was a very fun thing. Oh, I met the music the composer behind Outlast and Outlast 2 at a party.
Nice.
That was very, very, very nice thing. Yeah, so expect some more news as they come up in terms of our relationships with those people in the coming months and years. So that would be a very cool thing to look forward to, right?
Agree. Yeah.
So jumping to the next topic, Switch related, but not exactly Switch. The Nintendo Switch launched with a couple of games, not too many.
Yeah.
Some of the highlights include Sniper Clips, Fast RMX, Bomberman R, and there's a small game that you may heard of called Zelda.
Yeah.
Zelda what? Breath of something, yeah. Zelda.
Small game.
Yeah, and
really
you
care about.
actually got that game for the Wii U.
Yes,
right?
I did. Yeah, that's true.
So, Zelda. Zelda is the big game of March. It's the game that everybody's been talking about, right? So it's one of the highest rated games of all time.
Yeah.
Right now, and you gotta play it.
Yes.
And you beat the game a
Yep.
few days ago, right?
Yep.
So, Mr. Vizcaíno, Mr. Guillermo,
Tell me.
please tell us, to me and all the listeners, your a month after release,
Mhm.
what are your impressions, thoughts of the game, review? No spoilers, of course.
Right, yeah, absolutely,
Without going into story spoilers, how do you feel about the Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild? How do you feel after a 3D Zelda, after 5.5 years without one?
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's
How do
been
you
a
feel
very,
about it?
very long time. I
Is
mean,
it worth it? Was it worth the wait? Were you smiling the whole time you were playing it? Do you want to go back and do 100% run of it? How do you feel about Zelda: Breath of the Wild?
there's a whole lot of things that you get to feel and experience when you play this game.
Yeah.
First of all, and I think the most important of them all, I mean, obviously I'm not going to review the whole thing right now because it would take me a very long while. But the very, very most important thing that I wanted this Zelda to do was to be a better iteration, coming from Skyward Sword towards now, right? And on top of, the expectations and the, everything that comes with a Zelda game being a Zelda game, the game absolutely succeeds in being amazing. And the game absolutely succeeds in being very different too.
Okay.
Because you
Different
come
from all other Zelda
from
games?
other
or
Zelda
different
games, yeah,
From
from-
everything else?
I mean,
Or both?
yeah, probably both,
Okay.
but not so much in the latter. Probably more, it's a very different game, a very different Zelda game. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Because, as Nintendo franchises tend to do, they become very repetitive of themselves, right? They turn into, you don't really expect a 3D Mario game or a 2D Mario game, to be that much different from the previous one. And it's not going to be that different from the next one. And with 3D Zelda, you get that difference, but you get to a point too where that a Zelda game is a Zelda game because of, the way the dungeons are done, or the way the exploration is done, or the way the equipment is obtained, or, 100 different reasons. And Breath of the Wild manages to really tear apart that whole system and conglomerate of Zelda things that make a Zelda game a Zelda game. And that's absolutely terrific. I mean, I'm really happy to say that I get to compare this Zelda to games like The Witcher, to games like Skyrim, or to games like Fallout, or to games like, open world big adventure experiences and games. And that's phenomenal for a Zelda game, because when I was playing The Witcher, when I was playing Fallout or Skyrim, a little small part of me always thought, what would this be, or how awesome would it be if a Zelda game could, take aspects from this and learn from this and give us a great open world experience. And they did. They absolutely did, and they succeeded. Now, the game is not without its flaws. I always try to make that very clear. It's, for a lot of people out there, and I mean, it's opinions, right? And I have mine and they have theirs. For a lot of people out there, it's a perfect game. It's, the hundreds, it's a 10 out of 10s, the 5 out of 5, and it's a phenomenal game. And don't get me wrong, it is. But I don't think it's the perfect game. I don't think Breath of the Wild, it's going to be that staple house of how open world games have to be done from now on. Not in the slightest. It's a terrific game. But, first of all, and I think the one issue that I have the most problems with, besides the voice acting, because that's, personal preference too, it's that on this euphoria of trying to be as different as they could from the template of Zelda games, they strayed a little too far with the good things too. I mean, they upgraded everything. They made everything better in terms of adventure and exploration and item gathering and, everything. It's so grand and epic and filled with things to do and whatnot that they forgot some of the core aspects that made a Zelda game, and that were good things to have, right?
Gotcha.
The one important thing that I'm obviously not going to spoil the specifics of it, but are the dungeons itself. Dungeons are, for you guys that already played it, you know what I mean. You get into the dungeons and, immediately you realize that, okay, something's different and not entirely in the best of ways. And, things lost scale, things lost complexity, and you finish the dungeon and you end up thinking like, okay, that was it,
You feel like the Travolta meme, like what?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I get you.
And that's the one thing that I really, really missed, because if Breath of the Wild had that, it would have been a much, much, much fulfilling experience. Not that it was not, but it would have been even better. And
it's like they focus too much maybe on the open world of
yes,
it, rather than on the dungeons, right?
Yeah, rather than on what made Zelda, and that's the one thing that I, it hurts not to have it, because if it had, it would have been a much, much better game. It's a phenomenal game, don't get me wrong. Voice acting, God, I mean, the thing about voice acting is that if you cannot be in the middle. You have to either not have any or go all the way.
Or go very good.
Yes. And I mean, I don't mean like all the way like The Witcher or Fallout or Mass Effect that has like hours upon hours upon hours of...
but in terms of quality, right?
Yes, in terms of quality and in terms of, I mean, even quantity. I mean, I don't want hours upon hours of conversations, but the amount that they had was very minimal, very, very minimal. And the quality of those very minimal hours or very minimal, amounts of conversations was fairly bad. I mean, and that's very saddening to say, because of all the game, I don't remember a single one that was memorable. And out of the entire game, only a single one was good. And that's that's not bad. Great, especially for a game of the caliber that Zelda is, right? Yeah. So that's the 2 points that I really dragged it down a little bit for me. The entirety of the game, it's, again, phenomenal. I don't know. I wouldn't put a number on it yet. It's still too recent, and, nostalgia and stuff, it tends to affect judgment. But I wouldn't give it a perfect score.
Not a 10 out of 10.
Not a 10 out of 10, no. Gotcha. But it's a great game. I mean, it's...
worth it.
One of my personal favorite Zelda games. And I mean top 5, yes. It's great. It's a phenomenal game. It's filled with life. It's filled with, when characters or when characters are not talking, like actually voice acting, they are filled with life and they are filled with great emotions, and you see this, they did great building for them, and I really appreciate that. And they made the interactions a little bit more complex. They played a lot with the environment and how it affects what people are saying to you. If it's raining, they say something. If you don't have clothing on, they say something. If different things are happening, or if they are being attacked, they change their dialogue accordingly, and that's very cool. And it really draws you into the game, and it's something that I, as a writer and as an aficionado of narrative and story-driven games, appreciate a lot, because it really changes your perspective towards the game when different events are going on. Also, the overall story is very epic. It's a grand version of, the story is the same, right? Because Zelda, it's about the iteration of the same core story, right? The Triforce divided amongst 3 different people, and they are always the princess and the wisdom and, the evil power with Ganon and whatnot, and Link with the courage and all that. It's the same story, but the way they told it was very unique. And I'm not going to spoil it because it's very cool, but, for the very first time, people within the world is aware of this, right? Of this legend, and they are aware of previous iterations of the legend, and that like a very different, unique twist to the formula, and it's very cool. I really recommend that you get to really experience everything that the game has to offer in terms of narrative, including the memories. The memories are a very important part. It's an optional thing, but if you get them all, you get a clearer, broader picture of what the game wants to tell you, and that's very cool. In terms of mechanics, combat's done better. The visual effects for the game are phenomenal, are really amazing. Nice. I really love the art style, and the actual VFXs of the game are so cool, are really, really cool. They did a great job with lighting. The world, I was afraid that it was going to feel empty, and it absolutely did not. You get to experience a lot of different unique parts. Yes, absolutely. There are spaces that you obviously have nothing to do, right? But it's a big world. Right. But even then, when you find something, it is there, and it leaves a mark, and it's very cool.
That's great, because that was a concern of mine.
No, yeah, don't you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, and there are a lot of different little thingies and details that are very cool and give it even more life, and the game is great. Cool. If you have a Switch, you have to buy the Switch for Zelda. If you already have the other way around, sorry, you have to buy Zelda for the Switch if you already have the Switch. If you don't, get it for either one. I wouldn't recommend buying the Switch just for playing Zelda. But if you have either the Wii U or the Switch, get Zelda. Yeah. It's a must. It's the game of the year so far. It's the game of this, after The Witcher, this is the open world game that you want to play.
Right. So there's like an 89% attach rate of Zelda in Switch owners.
Right.
But I'm wondering, the other 11%, like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what? Why?
Playing paper
Sniper
clip, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's a fun
Absolutely,
game,
yeah.
but
you have to get Zelda.
$300 for sniper clips, right?
Yeah.
What are you doing, man? That's great to hear. I haven't played the game, but I plan on doing it very soon, very, very soon. But yeah, I'm very concerned about the dungeon thing.
Right.
Because every single Zelda game, even Zelda 1 on the NES, the one aspect that I remember the most always of every Zelda game are the dungeons.
Yes.
And I'm very concerned about that, especially since I just got off from playing. I did a 100% run on Twilight Princess HD on a Wii U, and that game is very, very dungeon heavy, like super dungeon focused. Like 70% of the time you spend on that game is on the dungeons, and it's a game that just emphasizes its design on the dungeons, and it strikes gold with that. Almost every single dungeon in that game is great. City in the Sky is probably my favorite dungeon in every Zelda game ever. It's so great, so complex and disturbing in many ways, and long. It's amazing. It's an amazing dungeon. The Snow one, the Snow Peak Ruins, I think was the name. That's great as well. Yeah, that game is very filled with dungeons, and I love that aspect of it. So going from that into a Zelda game that doesn't really have that and just has the open world, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that, especially after playing The Witcher 3.
Right.
So, but anyways, I'm gonna jump into it with an open mind and enjoy it. but I'm glad to hear that there's a lot of positive stuff in there. Is it better than Skyward Sword?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. It is for me. For me
That's a good
personally.
thing. Better than A Link to the Past?
In my personal list,
Yes.
I did place it above
Okay.
A Link to the Past.
Okay.
The only two games that right now are definitely on top for me are, again, Ocarina and Majora. And Majora's Mask.
Okay.
Those are my top Zelda games. Because, I mean, I know that if you put them in contrast with the games right now, they might not seem like that, huge or amazing. But back then, and especially if you're like us, that you played them when they first came out or very close to that time period, they were the Witcher of their times, right? They were huge and were very different and amazing. So I have those two on top. Twilight Princess and Breath of the Wild. It's they are struggling there for number 3 and number 4.
Gotcha.
But it's that up. It's that high on my list.
Okay. So definitely above Wind Waker for you.
No. It's there on the struggle.
That's a tough
it's there on the struggle.
So it's struggling with both Twilight Princess
and Wind Waker. Yeah.
Ooh, like that. I like that.
Yeah.
We should come back after we both play the game and after a few months have passed. We should come back and discuss our top 10 Zelda games and make a list, which will be very, very fun. Definitely.
And that's gonna take like 3 hours probably.
We can wrap it in an hour. I think so.
I would like that. Sounds cool.
All right, awesome. So let's jump to the next game that I want to discuss in today's show. Another new game that just came out. Called Mass Effect Andromeda. Both of us are big Mass Effect fans.
Huge.
I was very disappointed and worried about the review scores and the concerns. So I made a decision, especially with Yooka-Laylee coming right around the corner. I made a decision to wait for a price drop. But definitely, I'm definitely playing Mass Effect Andromeda most likely this year. But I'm waiting a bit on that one. But you impulsive bastard,
yes,
you couldn't wait anymore. You got the game. Yeah. You are playing it. What do you think?
Oh man, it's a tough one because I mean we've mentioned this game a lot in this podcast.
One of our most anticipated games.
Absolutely,
of last year
yes.
and of this year.
Yes, we've come back to it time and time again, and I was very discouraged as well with when reviews came out and when the first impressions came out, and I made the impulsive buy, but I also I excused myself in thinking that I have to have my own opinion in this particular game. I cannot let other people tell me
right,
or dictate the way I'm gonna feel about it. I bought it. I started playing it, and okay, first of all, it's not a bad game by any means. It's a good game. It's the combat's great. The general gameplay, it's good. Problem comes when, again, similar to Zelda, when you come back to what made Mass Effect awesome and you contrast it with this game, what for me made Mass Effect as amazing as it is, the original trilogy, was how they made all these stories and all this, the overarching story was amazing. And then every little branch, every little side quest, even the companion quest for, getting them to your max, relationship, whatever. Those were awesome. Those were very cool. And the acting was great. The voice acting was great. The
writing.
Emotions, the writing, everything was so cool and was so drawing and was so interesting. Even Mass Effect 1, which with all of its flaws, it retained that. The whole writing was amazing.
It laid a foundation of this universe.
Absolutely,
very well.
Yeah. The decision making was so critical for the first Mass Effect trilogy. Yeah. And then I come to Andromeda, and you feel how they let go of that a little bit. It feels unpolished. The writing, the voice acting. Even coming from Zelda, that was so awful for me, and into this, I have a couple of characters that have good lines and good dialogue and good acting. The rest of them feel rushed, out of tune, and it's very odd. And then we come to the main issue with the game, and when I first read about it, I was like, nah, come on. I mean, a couple of facial animations going wrong, it's not that terrible. It's not gonna break the experience, you know. Mass Effect 1 didn't have amazing facial animations, and it was a very, very good and in terms of transmitting all of the, you know, all of the emotions that it wanted to evoke. But then you get to this game, and sadly, it truly does detract from the experience. It truly does affect, because you know, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's this one scene, this very emotional scene that and I'm sorry, a spoiler alert. If you don't want to know, skip a couple minutes or a minute. If you don't care, if you don't mind, and I think it's already been spoiled on some point during the trailers, and I'm sorry for you. But very early on the game, Alec Ryder, who is your father, perishes. Mm-hmm. And you end up with the responsibility of the Pathfinder, and that's like the foundation of the whole game, right? Yeah. But then you have this scene where your father dies, and the aftermath of where you are, you know, you're back on the ship, with the crew and all that, and they are telling you like, oh, I'm sorry that your father passed away. And not just that the dialogues are very corny and not great, but the animations, I mean, you're seeing this very emotional moment, right? Your parent just died, and you see it, and every female NPC has this weird smirk going on. That's the default animation.
I see that on the female Ryder.
Yeah, and it's so it's creepy and it's detracting. It's very odd, and it's very I don't know. It really makes you feel awkward and sad, and it's like, it's not just that it's funny, because it is. I mean, if you don't have the context, it is. But when you have the context and you see it, it's like
it takes you out of the
absolutely. Yeah. And it reiterates with different scenes and different moments, and it's like you know.
I gotcha. And I've seen the male writer. He seems like he's always looking like into the void.
Yeah. The eye animations, I don't know why they do it. Why the eyes do what they do, but they are constantly moving like towards the sides for some reason. And I mean, I get that that's something that we do sometimes. I mean, humans,
but not always.
But not always, yeah. And not so, like, you have this close-ups to the faces, and you see the eyes just moving and twitching around. It's like, oh, okay, what's going on? It's very odd. It's very, very. It takes you out, as you said. It takes you out of the experience, and it's not cool, because I want to be in. You know, I want to be drawn in, and it's odd. But you know, putting that aside, once you finish that prologue part and you start really getting into the actual Mass Effect-y part of the game, you know, getting to walk around in the new quote-unquote Citadel, talking to the NPCs and starting to get the first side quest and stuff, you start seeing that magic again, and you start, you know, reinvigorating that emotion and all. Yes, that's what and you know, once you get there, it gets a little better. You're drawn in a little bit more. Gameplay wise, the game is phenomenal. I was worried about the whole covering system and whatnot. For me, it has been flawless so far. Cool. The new skill trees, and you know, like, you can choose how much of a biotic your character you want it to be, and how much of a vanguard, or how much of the different classes and all that. I think it's great. It's a little too complex. If you're not used to the Mass Effect universe and you start with this one, it might be a little off-putting. So take that into account if you haven't played the previous games and you want to buy this one.
If you haven't played them, why?
Yeah, you should have played the previous one. But if for whatever reason in the universe you hadn't,
in the universe,
be wary, because it's a little too complex. It's a little, you know, it's, if you're not used to the, you know, having a codex and a journal and all of these things, and you know that you have to level up your companions and whatnot, it gets a little confusing.
It's heavy on its RPG mechanics.
Yes,
definitely.
But you know, a player like us that we've experienced that before, and we know how the Mass Effect game and universe works. I appreciate the amount of complexity that they put in, and you know, whenever you're shooting people in the face, it feels amazing. And the one thing that I have absolutely loved about the game so far, it's the music and the sound effects have been phenomenal, have been just outstanding. It's cool. That part, it's great. It's really good. Right? The visuals are amazing too, except for the facial animations. Everything else that you see looks very very cool. The aliens, the ships, the everything, the even the armor. It looks very very
It's the
nice and
magic
neat.
of the Frostbite engine.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyways.
That is
very-
absolutely right. If they just could fix those facial animation, it would be so much better. But yeah, I mean, I agree with the current scores. I mean, I wouldn't put it above 7.5 maybe or an 8. But it's definitely not as bad as people have been putting it up to be.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, it's a shame that it's not up to par with the previous Mass Effect games. But if I put it in a vacuum, it's not a bad game at all.
Mhm.
It's not. I mean, if you have money to buy one game on March, it has to be Zelda.
Mhm. But if you don't own a Wii U or a Switch,
Yeah, if you don't know any Nintendo console, give it a try.
Okay.
It's not bad at all. I mean, if you're not interested in the Neos or the Horizons or the Niers, which are phenomenal games and I haven't played them, but they have better scores than Mass
Mhm.
Effect.
Persona 5. as well.
Persona 5, yes. If you want something sci-fi, very epic in terms of adventure, give it a shot.
Okay.
You're not gonna be disappointed.
Okay. Yeah, one of the aspect that I think I enjoyed the most out of Mass Effect 1 and 3 was the universe, the lore. Not the main storyline by itself, but the stories of each
Mhm.
character, of each race,
Yeah.
of each planet. Just getting to know all these people and getting invested into this universe and feeling as if this universe was a real thing. That's what I enjoyed the most. So when I got to see the reviews of Andromeda, I was a bit bummed down by just knowing that this wasn't that strong of a case in this new game. But as you just said at the beginning of your discussion of your exposition of Andromeda, I need to try it for myself and not letting anyone tell me
Right.
how should I feel about the game, right? So yeah, I think I will give it a try in the coming months as soon as it gets a bit of a price, or I guess because I just spent way too much money on games and stuff, and there's ukulele coming up and Zelda and that stuff. All right, so next topic. I just mentioned it is ukulele, one of our most anticipated games of all time, coming from people who grew up with a Nintendo 64. We grew up playing Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, all of those amazing rare games. We were children when we were enjoying the golden era of 3D platformers.
Yeah.
After Super Mario 64 and then Rare came into the game. We had a blast with this genre, and it's making sort of a comeback with ukulele coming from Platonic Games, made by ex-Rareware developers, who we just said that we met over at GDC. It was such an amazing experience meeting those guys. And ukulele is coming up on April 11th.
Yeah.
We both pre-ordered the game already.
Yes.
Very excited about it. However, well, not really. However, sort of whatever. The review scores just came up as of the recording of this show, and it's getting sort of a mixed to positive reviews.
Yes.
So right now it's sitting on Metacritic. The PC version it's getting a 72 out of 100.
Okay.
The Xbox One version is 73.
Okay.
And the PS4 version is 67. So it's around a 70.
Yeah, around
sort of
7.
average.
Yeah.
You expected a way higher score, like more like an 80, right?
Yeah, I expected it to be on the 80s.
I was expecting it maybe a bit higher, like sort of like 75 to 80 range.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I was telling you while we were walking here to the studio, this is a game that's very much for a niche audience sort of way, right? It's a game that's made for people who really, really enjoy these kind of platformers. And some of the criticisms of the game are state that it's some camera issues, which we didn't experience while playing the game at GDC, so I'm intrigued by that. And also that it maybe feels a bit too old, its mechanics and its design.
Right.
Which I kind of feel bad for developers, because that's a very hard thing to balance when you are making a game that's supposed to be a throwback to an old property. So that's I don't know how to feel about that. Anyways, we will be getting the game in the coming days and more weeks, right? So next week, so we should be getting the game very, very soon and enjoying it for ourselves and seeing how do we really, really feel about it, right? So are you excited about it?
I'm very excited. I mean,
I'm super hyped, like myself. I'm super excited.
That you mentioned that little piece on balancing, because for me, I don't think it's a bad thing that it feels old. I mean, I think that's what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted it to feel just as a Banjo game did back then, or just like, you know, the 3D platformers of the golden years of 3D platforming. I wanted to feel like a Spyro or a Banjo-Kazooie or a Ratchet and Clank or a Jack and Daxter. You know, I wanted to feel like that, and if it feels like that, then it's a positive for me. Now, I understand that being it so that, you know, in previous years or in the past, those were different times in terms of how, you know, movement mechanics work, jumping mechanics worked, all of those types of gameplay choices worked, and maybe they worked in a certain way back then because everything was different back then, and right now it might not work as much, or it might not feel as polished when it works like the way it works. But I don't think that's a bad thing for people like me or like us that wanted to feel that, you know, throwback sensation, as you mentioned. I'm very, very excited about the game. The little bit of you know, the little level or the piece of the level that we played on GDC, for me, really evoked everything that I wanted a game to evoke, for, you know, in terms of everything. So I was very pleased with the experience I had there. And taking that as, you know, the little grain or the little like piece with which I'm gonna like rate the rest of the game, or to you know, hold the rest of the game to a certain bar with that. I'm fine by it. I liked it. I really enjoyed it, and I would give it. I mean, if that was the whole game what I played, I would be in the 80s range for me. So I'm excited. I want to see the rest of it, to see if there's something else, or if there's something that, you know, drags the score down for some reason, or if it's just that the game is all like that and I'm perfectly fine with it, and that's gonna be enough for me. I don't know. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it, and I'm pretty sure that whatever the case, I'm sure that I'm gonna enjoy the game, especially because 3D platformers is probably my favorite video game genre, and because I do want. What I've been saying of Yooka-Laylee is what I want from that game. I want a Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
Banjo-Kazooie made in 2016, 2017, right? So I'm excited about it. So we should be getting that game in a few weeks, and you can expect a discussion / review / impressions, all that stuff, all that jazz, very, very soon from us. So yeah, that should be a lot of fun. Also from Yooka-Laylee, I want to touch just very briefly on this issue, just to see if you have any opinions or thoughts on this about the JonTron controversy with the game.
I have no idea. No.
So do you know JonTron, the YouTuber?
Yeah, absolutely.
So he was voicing a character in
Really?
Yooka-Laylee, yeah.
Huh.
But he got removed from the game
Okay.
because he
His character or him?
both. I don't know about the character, but I know that he was removed from the game.
Okay.
I don't know if they revoiced the character or what's going on with that.
Okay, right.
But he's out of the game now. Because he what I know of the story, he made some tweets with some racial spur, he was a bit he offended some people with some of his opinions on Twitter. And then he was invited by another popular YouTuber called Destiny to a debate. And they got into like an hour and a half, 80-minute debate. And during the debate, JonTron, I didn't watch the whole debate, I just watched snippets of it. So I don't have a full opinion of it. I don't have time to watch the whole thing. But what I saw is that JonTron said many things that could be very offensive for many people. Among his points is that he made a lot of anti-immigration stances. He said that he was worried that the white population, the percentage of white population in the U.S. is going down. It was 90%, now it's 70%, something like that. And he stated that is causing the U.S. to lose its identity. And he blames that on immigrants and Mexican immigrants and that kind of stuff. And then he said that the U.S. will become a place like Mexico, you know, and he did that in a very bad tone in many ways. Then he stated that statistics don't matter, don't mean anything because Hillary Clinton didn't win. And I was like, what? What does that have anything to do? Like, he made a lot of statements. I don't want to go deeper into that because that's I don't know, that's a very touchy subject for many people. So basically, he made a lot of statements that aligned with the alt-right. He attacked the media.
Right.
and during debate. Sounds familiar, right?
Mm.
And all of that, what many people got from it, and what bothered many people is that all of his statements and arguments were without a single source or without backing them up with data, right? So which was not the case with Destiny, with the other
counterpart.
YouTuber
Okay.
on the debate.
Yeah.
So that bothered many people,
Mm-hmm.
and then he got into like fights on Twitter and that kind of stuff. So he was removed from the game. So first thing, I want to be very clear on this. I do not support censorship. Like, I do not support someone being removed from their job or from anything because of their political opinions. I think that everyone has the right to have a political opinion or religion, whatever opinion on anything, right? But I think that this is maybe a different issue in by itself because there's a very difficult line between an opinion and an attack, right?
Yeah.
And something that may bother other people because of their situation, right? It's different it's a very different thing being a conservative or liberal than just making a comments against immigration without understanding the situation of these people, war refugees and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's a very difficult thing to discuss, I guess. But I just wanted to mention it briefly and just let you know about what was happening. And
yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, I mean, it's exactly as you said, right? Everyone's entitled to an opinion. That opinion can be something that the majority agrees on, or it can be something entirely different. And I mean, everyone's allowed to have a voice and to have a certain way of thinking. That might rub some people the wrong way, like it was the case with John. I don't have a beef with him. I mean, I'm sure he has his reasons or his context for saying everything that he's saying and preaching. I do understand, and I do agree with you in terms of I don't think that what we say or think or slip on, because I mean, at the end of the day, we have some opinions on some things that might not be positive in the public eye, right? About whatever. I like chocolate ice cream and you don't, and that rubs someone the wrong way. Thing about this is that it's very racial centric and it's very political centric too, and that can affect a product that in on its own, I'm now referring to Ukulele, it's already a small audience that's going to get the game. And if on top of that you have the reviews coming in and they're not as positive as you might have wanted them to be, and then on top of that you have that layer of controversy, when do you, because I agree, you have to draw a line at some point where everything, you allow your people to say what they want to say because it's their life. But what do you do when that can negatively affect not your product? I mean, because you don't do things based on if you're going to have the numbers at the end of the day, but how can it affect the image that your brand or your company portrays, right? So in that sense, I have to agree to a certain point with Playtonics and Team 17's decision of removing him from the game. And I say to a certain point because again, I go back to it. Well. Yes, exactly. So it's odd. We go back to the Colin Moriarty topic with the whole tweet going wrong, and how that was, or that may or may have not been the last drop on the glass, right, for it to overflow. I don't even know if that's a phrase in English that works.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Whichever case, like the last draw. But I don't know. So it circles back to that, and in this case, it's different because a lot more people would empathize with Colin. But at the end of the day, it was an opinion that was taken the wrong way. And if we go by that, he wasn't pushing immigrants back to Mexico or back to Syria. He wasn't, doing anything really violent. He was just voicing his opinion. So how do you balance that? I don't know. I don't have an answer. What I do know and what I do understand is that if I was Platonic, I would have done the same.
Probably, yeah. He also made some statements against blacks. I think that was even
more critical.
Yeah, he I remember very clearly that he said that it's more likely than for a rich black man to commit a crime than for a poor white man.
Okay.
Which is absolutely not nonsense. Right?
Yes.
But he brought that up twice. Like, and he was very sure of that without any data to back it up.
Yeah.
So that's like, dude, what the hell are you saying, right? So,
yeah, I mean,
if you have data to prove it,
yeah,
show it. I mean,
we circle back to the same thing, right? He has a right to say it because there's no censorship impeding him to do it. He is wrong, and he is in the wrong in doing that, right? Not backing up what you say. Right. But at the same time, I wouldn't be able to tell him don't speak in public about your opinions because why wouldn't he, right? So it's I saw it somewhere. I saw a phrase somewhere where it was in terms of getting offended, not in terms of actually saying stuff, but it sort of applies where no, it wasn't about the offended one. What was it about? Oh yeah, it's not the same. Oh yeah, it was about being offended. It's not the same to be offended than to being right. And this applies to it in terms of, you're entitled to say whatever you want to say, but that doesn't make your opinion correct. That's what I want to say. And
gotcha.
And that probably applies to what John and everything that he every racial thing that he said, or most of what he said. Still, he has the right to say it. So it's like, where do you lean in here? And again, I don't have the answer, but if I had to take Platonic's position, I would have done the same thing. I would have secured the image of my brand.
Definitely. Hashtag drama.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. All right, so moving on, because we have just a couple of minutes left. The last news story that I wanted to mention very briefly, Jak and Daxter PS2 classics are coming to a PS4.
Ooh, cool.
This year. Very excited about that because I haven't played those games, and as I mentioned, 3D platformers are a thing that I love. So I'm excited about that. Now Sony brings Sly Cooper. I really want to play those games. So yeah, that's a thing happening. And Spyro, nice. Come on, Spyro, we need Spyro back.
Yes.
Hashtag bring Spyro back.
We already have Crash. Now we gotta move to the other properties.
Absolutely. Very quickly, this is time for the Gaming Frontier Super Ultra Quick Random Interview, where you get asked a question, a personal gaming related question that you don't know about, and you are just gonna be surprised about this one. It's an easy one. I hope so.
Shoot.
So now the ukulele is coming out.
Yeah.
And it's marking the comeback of the Banjo-Kazooie formula.
Right.
Is there any other childhood game of yours, either franchise or style of game, that you would like to make a comeback?
Speaking about genres or franchises?
Any.
Okay.
Any franchise or a style of a game. Right?
Okay.
Anything that you want to make a comeback. That is not a mainstream or a very popular thing right now, but you want that to be a thing again, or a franchise from that era that you want to come back again.
I think that one's easier because thinking of a style or a genre, it's hard because
there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's a whole of a lot of genres, and some of them, we don't see them now, but because they have evolved rather than disappeared. Like, I don't know, like if I think of an action-adventure game from the 90s and I think of an action-adventure game right now, they are probably very different, but they're still action-adventure, right? Yeah. So it's like, franchise is a little bit easier.
Okay.
And I think, ironically, with your question, I think I still want to see Banjo come back. I mean, we have Yooka-Laylee, which is pretty much a Banjo game.
But you want a Banjo 3.
But I want Banjo, yeah.
With Banjo characters.
Yes, and yeah, I want Banjo 3. That's what I want, 3E.
By Rare.
Yeah, by
Rare. Any other developer.
Yeah. But
you want the game to be like those, like the original 2 games.
Ideally, I would like it to be by Rare, and I would like it to be an amazing game, so that Rare starts drifting a little bit back towards that 3D platformer, very comedic undertones and all that. I would love that. I think that would be it. You mentioned that Spyro. I would also love Spyro to do a comeback.
That would be fucking amazing, man.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. It was
Definitely.
Spyro. I loved Spyro. He was awesome. And I think I think that would be it. I don't have. Oh, Metroid. Metroid. I wanted to do although
Well,
a comeback.
last
'cause
year
it's
we
not,
got a
yes,
Metroid game.
exactly. But you know what I mean. You guys too.
Metroid Prime.
Yes, I want a Prime game. I want that. If not the Prime or the Metroid branding behind it, I want a game that's more focused on exploration and inspection
Yeah.
and that type of adventure, and like a 70-60% that and the other 40 combat, on that style, right? The sci-fi, very lonely, very dark, very filled with exploration type of game. I would love that. I would like that to
I
come
would
back.
kill for a Metroid Prime 4.
Absolutely.
I
I mean,
want that.
if it's that with a Metroid brand slapped on top, I'm sold.
Definitely.
Yes,
Definitely.
give me that Switch.
Cool. Nice choice.
Yeah.
Nice choices. But yeah, I'm going with the first one, the Banjo-Kazooie one.
Hmm.
That's a great choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want that back too.
All right.
Games coming out in the coming days, not a lot because
Hmm.
it's not a heavy. March was crazy. But
Yeah,
April,
exactly.
April is very calm. We got Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition coming to the PC, PS4, and Xbox One. This is a 2011 game from last generation. Is making a comeback to to 8th-gen consoles. And we got Yooka-Laylee coming to PC, Mac, Xbox One, and PS4 on April 11th,
All right.
and later on to the Switch. But right now that's the release, and that's
About it.
basically- That's about it. Definitely.
Interesting. As you said, ironically, because the first 3 months of the year have been extremely hectic and filled with games.
February and March, especially most like March was crazy.
Yeah.
So, finally, what are we playing right now? What am I playing? Oh man,
What are you playing?
I'm currently I'm currently invested in doing a playthrough of 4 different games,
Ooh.
which is I think the most I've ever done in my life at the same time. I'm playing right now. I'm playing through Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, which I just began on the weekend. I'm getting close to halfway through it. Playing on hard. It's a challenge, but I'm enjoying it as a hack and slash game, right? The story and all this stuff, whatever. But as an action game, it has its problems, but I'm having I'm fun with it. I'm playing that, and I am playing, but interrupted my playthrough of Spec Ops: The Line
Oh yeah.
because I got an issue because I bought a used copy on GameStop when I was in the US last November. I was playing that, and there's a point in the game where the disc cannot be read on a cutscene, and I'm screwed and I'm stuck.
Mhm.
I've tried everything. The disc is not working past that point. So I had to interrupt my playthrough with all my pain. I ordered a new copy already. It's coming in the next few days, weeks.
Cool.
So when that arrives, I'm gonna jump back into the game again because I was loving it.
Mm.
I was enjoying the game very very much. It's damn good, especially if you like story heavy games. I think that this game will be something that you will like
Alright.
a lot.
I like that.
Yeah, because I was actually thinking when playing through the game, at some moments I thought about you and was like, man, this dude would love this game because it's very heavy in the story.
Cool.
It's very nice.
That's what I like.
I'm playing those 2 games. I'm also playing Kirby's Epic Yarn co-op
Okay.
on the
Cool.
Wii. So
Uh-huh.
it's easy game but a fun game. And I'm also playing Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. Also doing a co-op playthrough of it. And that's a tough game. It's very overwhelming
Mm-hmm.
because it's very very heavy on its RPG mechanics.
Right.
Like, it's one of those games that has like 20 different menus for everything, right?
Yeah.
And it's a bit like ooh what? But it's awesome. It's cool, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So
Okay.
I'm playing those 4, and occasionally I'm doing a few matches here and there of Overwatch.
Cool.
And that's about it. What about you?
I'm playing. What am I playing? I'm playing. I'm trying to think of the other games. Mainly my main game right now. It's Mass Effect.
Mm-hmm.
Mass Effect Andromeda. Again, I'm enjoying it fairly much. I'm not ultra super into it, as I was telling you last week or yesterday. I don't know. I told you sometime. It was hard because I mean the game was not really drawing me in as much as I already exposed before. So I was really having a hard time, getting home at night, and I have only an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours to play, and for some reason I just couldn't, bring up
Get
that
used to it,
enthusiasm for playing. And I was
Yeah.
like, I really want to play this game. At the end, finally, when I finished the prologue, I started getting a little bit more into it.
Cool.
So I'm playing that, and I'm also playing a small game. I can't remember which. Oh, you know what I'm playing? And it's a very, very odd game to be playing because it's a very old game. Well, very old, at least in terms of the place where it's played at. And it's very odd because I'm generally not a mobile gamer.
I gotcha.
But I'm playing Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. I guess that's how you pronounce it. And it's I gotta say, a very addictive game. I don't know if it's good. It's a very simple game.
Yeah.
But it's very addictive, and it really plays hard on its mechanics to draw you in and make you keep playing it. And I found myself several times playing it while my PC loads, or while I'm doing a build on the game back at the office, or every time that I have some time to kill, I find myself playing the game, and it's odd. It's odd.
It's odd for you. Definitely.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's fairly fun. If you guys want to check it out,
time killer.
It's everywhere. It's like a time killer. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's a 2-year-old game, but still, it's very fun to play. So
Cool.
that's what I'm playing right now.
Cool. Oh, I also forgot to mention that I just got a Super Nintendo, and I'm playing also Super Mario Kart. Just a couple of times.
Cool.
It's tough. It's very tough. I'm coming off on with it.
Nice.
So, folks, that's it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching the show on YouTube or listening on iTunes and tuning in through the Last Tech. No, on the Last Tech through tuning, whatever. If you enjoyed your time with us, please consider leaving a like, subscribe, hit that red button, and subscribe to our channel for more gaming-related content throughout the week. Share with your friends if you like what we do, and we appreciate all of your support.
We absolutely do. And make sure to be here next week for episode number 44. Yes. It's been a while, so I lost the numbering. Thank you so much, guys, for the support and the ones the ones of you that keep coming back. Truly appreciate it. The new ones, hello, welcome. And make sure to click the subscribe button for more videos. They're fairly cool. I promise you, you're going to like them.
Leave all your questions below in the comment section, and we can discuss that on the next episode. Absolutely. You can always reach us on Twitter at _gamingfrontier, and on Facebook as Gaming Frontier. No, at facebook.com/gamingfrontier entertainment. I apologize for that. You have any questions, as I said, leave in the comments below, or reach us on our email address, gamingfrontier.contact @gmail.com. As always, we'd like to thank Tecnológico de Monterrey and Mr. Isaac Estrella for allowing us to use all of this expensive equipment and this very, very nice table and that new equipment, those new cameras, which we are having some struggles with. I hope this turns out to be an all right episode. Thank you so much, guys, and remember, always keep playing, folks.
Keep playing, guys. See you next week.